Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And Snoop Dogg has whacked the beehive. He said
the quiet part out loud.
He said the quiet part out loud, yeah. So he took his grandkids, which I'm shocked about. We'll talk about how many grandkids he has at his age. But he took his grandkids to go see Lightyear. They had questions about the LGBTQ plus representation. And he said it was a very awkward conversation to have with his kids. Now everybody's attacking Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, because he's like, he said he was afraid to go to the movies because he's afraid if he takes his grandkids, he's going to have to answer questions he didn't feel comfortable answering. And now he's a bigot.
So we're going to talk about this because this is why, if you're wondering why Disney is pulling all of the representation out of their latest movie releases. You know, they did it with Pixar. They did it with Elio and with, was it Win or Lose, the series, and they toned it down in Inside Out too. Again, very, very strange that they have to keep putting all this stuff in the Pixar cartoons, but Disney basically had to tell them, no, you can't do that. And this is a big reason why, because the audience, the target audience, are more traditional families, and their
kids. The target audience
kids are going to have questions, and the parents and the grandparents don't want to answer the questions.
And the things that they toned it down on have been things targeting children.
Yes.
And apparently they originally were going to take out, okay, what this is about is the Lightyear. If you've seen Lightyear, which I still haven't seen and I'm not going to watch it, apparently there was the parents of the one girl that was one of the lead characters. She had two moms. And apparently there was a kiss in the movie and stuff, which never saw it, so don't know. And that kiss was removed for release overseas. And apparently it was going to be removed from the United States release, but people at Pixar had a hissy fit about it, which are probably the same people who were protesting the Florida laws that had nothing to do with them in California and everything else. And the ones who were protesting Inside Out and wanting to stick it in Elio and everything else, they were mad. So they
in Elio.
Yeah, they protested, and then it was removed. And then because of their protest, that Disney put it back in because they all were having a major hissy fit about it. And then after Lightyear bombed, they're like, hell no. And they started walking back. So it sounds like the people at Pixar have been really, really, really trying very hard to shove this agenda into all their films. And they did it with Strange World, but that was Walt Disney Pictures. They were doing it too. Both of those failed. Now, to be fair, I don't think Lightyear failed because of that.
Lightyear failed because it wasn't a Toy Story movie. People wanted Buzz Lightyear Star Command. They wanted that tone, and they went for Interstellar. And it was
not a movie that the kid watched, and that's the cartoon Buzz Lightyear.
Andy never would have watched. Andy would watch something like Star Wars. That's basically what Buzz Lightyear.
Or Star Command. Buzz Lightyear Star Command. He never would have watched, which was supposed to be the show he watched. He never would have watched that. People were like pissed because it wasn't Tim Allen and it wasn't Buzz Lightyear. It was whatever that was. And they didn't go. I'm sure this played into it, though, for the same reason that Snoop Dogg mentioned, is that parents were concerned about the questions they'd have to answer. So now people are calling anybody who feels concerned about this, you're a terrible bigot, because you could just explain that adoption's a thing and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's, of course, I mean, they love Snoop Dogg last week. They hate him this week. So we're going to talk about it. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
So yeah, this is making headlines all over the place. He stepped in. Actually, what threw me? He said it threw him for a loop. The same-sex kiss in Lightyear. What threw me was his. What I was expecting was him being 53 years old and having 8 grandkids.
I thought he was way older than 53.
I thought he was like 65.
I don't know. Sorry, dude. I thought you were way older.
I don't know. Even when I was a teenager, I'm thinking he was like 30 something, and this is not the case. So, I don't know, unless he's having, kids when he was like 12. I don't know what's going on here, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about this. Hollywood Reporter, Snoop Dogg criticizes LGBTQ representation in Lightyear. It threw me for a loop. The rapper and hip hop icon shared on a recent episode of It's Giving podcast that he was taken by surprise when he took his grandchildren to see Pixar's Toy Story spinoff as it featured.
I think it's cool that he took his grandkids to the movies in general. just want to say I think that's cool that he's involved and he wanted to take his grandkids to the movies.
It featured a montage of two women sharing a kiss and raising a child together. He said this led to a whole bunch of questions from his grandchildren about same-sex couples, and he said, I don't have an answer for that. They're like, she had a baby with another woman, Snoop recalled on the podcast, which appears to have since been deleted his comments on the matter on the YouTube episode. So they cut that out, but it's too late. The genie's out of the bottle. My grandson in the middle of the movie is like, Papa Snoop, how she have a baby with a woman? She's a woman. Oh, boy.
And of course, kids are going to ask that. I mean, obviously.
So this is interesting. Okay, why are they cutting the representation out of the movies? Because parents and grandparents don't want to be put in the spot like this. They're not saying, hey, we personally have a problem with it. They're just like, we're not sure how to answer the question. He said, yeah, the rapper just remembered thinking at the time, oh, shit, I didn't come in for this shit. I just came to watch the GD movie. Snoop says he tried telling his grandson, hey, man, just watch the movie. But he kept firing off questions. They just said, she and she had a baby. They're both women. How does she have a baby? It fucked me up. the artist added, I'm like, I'm scared to go to the movies now. Y'all throw me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for. It threw me for a loop. I'm like, what part of the movie was this? These are kids. We have to show that at that age. They're going to ask questions. I don't have the answer.
Yes, that's the problem. It's like, it's because they're kids. I don't think people have problems with, so much so with representation. It's just that how it's presented with it when it's a kids movie. And, you can be mad all you want and you can call people names, but a lot of the audience, most of the people statistically are not LGBTQ plus whatever. Most of the people aren't. That being said, a lot of people teach their kids about it, but parents feel like they want to address it when they feel comfortable or they feel like their kids are ready. And if you're taking kids to a Disney movie, you're not expecting that. And then it's forcing a bunch of questions that maybe you don't feel that they're ready at, an age to understand or that you're ready to explain. It doesn't mean that you're anti anybody. It just means that you aren't going to a movie to have to answer questions that are going to be like really weird questions from your children that might not be ready to understand it, And that's just it. And Lightyear failed terribly, but even Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg, he's out there, he's around all this stuff all the time, he knows what goes on, and he's out there like, yeah, I wasn't expecting to go to a kids movie and have to explain this to my grandkids and be put on the spot like that.
Well, at least they weren't showing them having sex in the movie or something.
No, but I'm just saying we're going to do that. But it's just like Disney has been, people behind the scenes at Walt Disney Animation and Pixar have, especially Pixar, have been pushing and pushing and pushing to push this stuff into films. We know animation in general, they've been trying everything they can to push this stuff into films, like, in shows like She-Ra, where somehow it became She-Ra, the Princess of Power, into She-Ra and all her friends that represent the rainbow, and everybody's a different letter on the alphabet on the rainbow instead of just, and it was very in your face. Here it's up to parents. They want to discuss it. I mean, a lot of parents are open to discussing it. It's just that they might not be ready or their kids aren't old enough. And I don't think you should be forced to go to a movie and be worried about it. And then Disney noticed huge drop off in their attendance when this was put through. Heck, I've seen many people who are on the LGBTQ plus spectrum saying, I don't think that should be in the kids movie when their young kids are going because they're not going to understand it.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be pushed on kids.
So here's the thing. This is what we keep telling people, and people are like, "Well, yeah, you just hate." It's like, no. What I'm telling you is, if you want to look at it from a purely numbers perspective, which I hate to break it to you, as much as Disney makes art, they make product. Disney hasn't made art in a very long time.
Families mostly.
Yeah, they make product for families, and they're going to look at the market and they're going to be like, "Oh, families had a huge problem with this." So if Snoop is thinking it and Snoop is saying it, how many
Snoop
other
Dogg.
Not Snoop Dogg. How many other people, maybe they didn't come out publicly say it, but maybe they pulled, Bob Iger aside and said, hey, what's up with the Lightyear? Maybe that's why it didn't.
I'm concerned that the animation industry is trying so damn hard. I get why, because a lot of the animation industry themselves identify differently. A lot of artists do, and that's fine. I mean, cool. You do you, boo. I don't care.
I don't care.
But it's just when you're trying to shove it into kids' entertainment to make it more normalized. You're actually putting people's backs up. Where I think if you just let people dress it on their own, they will address it with their kids because their kids are going to run into it eventually. Why does my friend at school have two dads? And then you talk about it.
I think that's the issue, and that's kind of where everything has gotten with the the don't say gay and all that stuff, is that parents want a right to tell their kids about different lifestyles as they see fit, not have the school do it, not have entertainment do it. Now, this is actually one of the, from where I'm saying, this is one of the more mild examples. Actually, the more egregious examples to me are like, why do we have like drag shows on Blue's Clues, which is aimed at toddlers? That's
true.
that's a little weird.
They did tone this very much down.
That's a little weird. I'm not against drag queens. I don't care.
No.
I don't care if you want to do drag. I don't care. But it's weird to put that in a show geared toward 3-year-olds.
Yeah, because they're trying to normalize things, and it's like, but families. And I hate to say it, I'm gonna get bad. And I don't care. The majority of people don't identify in that way.
Yeah.
So if you're going to try to reach the biggest target audience, I do believe in representation being included in things so that people can, other people can feel represented. However, when it comes to things like, sexuality and stuff like that, it shouldn't be really addressed to children. I just don't think it should. I think that's up to parents to handle.
It's up, and I think that's where the issue is. And so, regardless of whether or not you agree with it, disagree with it, whatever, the point is the market is speaking, and the parents, since you're dealing with kids entertainment, the parents are loudly saying we will not subject our kids to this kind of stuff if we do not agree with it. And they know. They cut it out of overseas releases, like you said. Now they're planning this Abu Dhabi park, and I guarantee you there's gonna be a lot of stuff cut from that park. So,
including costumes for female characters and things that are like too revealing.
Yeah, they're probably gonna do like they do with wrestling, I guess, like a full body suit or something.
I think the problem here isn't that people are against people being, that's what they're gonna take it. Well, you're against us. No, that's not what's going on here. What's going on here is people, they want to they want to bring it up with their kids. It's going to come up. Kids ask questions. They see somebody with special needs, they're going to ask questions. They see somebody who, has 2 moms or 2 dads, they're going to ask questions. They just don't want to deal with it in the middle of a movie at the movie theater. They're like, okay, well, we can talk about this at home. We can talk about this when it comes up. We can talk about this when I feel ready to discuss it. But I don't want to go to a movie. And had parents known that was going to be in the movie, they probably wouldn't. Some of them would have taken their kids and been like, that's fine because my kids already understand that and that's cool. But a lot of people might have avoided it because they didn't want to have to address it, which is I think what happened, because after it came out, people didn't go. And I think initially people didn't go because it wasn't Lightyear, or it wasn't Buzz Lightyear. And after that came out, a lot of people avoided it because and same with Strange World. They didn't want to have uncomfortable conversations with their kids at the theater when their kids inevitably start asking questions like Snoop Dogg's grandkids did.
Yeah, and he was trying to get the kid to shut up and watch a movie.
We'll talk about kids are kids. We'll talk about it later. Yes, I don't understand.
Kids are kids. They're like, no, I don't understand. You tell me how 2 ladies make a baby. I'm like, they're in spaceships. They clone them. Shut up, eat your popcorn.
Yeah, because that's why people didn't go, because a lot of parents didn't want to have to. One, they didn't want their kids exposed to that. They're younger, and 2, they just didn't want to have the conversation at that point in time. Like they thought, well, we'll wait till it's on Disney Plus and watch it, and then we're at home. So if questions arise, we can address it at home. I think that's a lot to do with it. But Disney's cutting it out of their shows and movies, and there's a reason, because they were all double and tripling down on it before, weren't they? But they're cutting it now.
Pretty much every Pixar release over the last couple of years they've tried because, and again, I understand there are people at Pixar that are LGBTQ plus. Obviously, they're in the Bay Area. I grew up partially in the Bay Area, but my mom's best friends was a very openly gay guy. I know the demographic. I know.
At my family, we have people in the LGBTQ spectrum, and you know what? I have no problem with anybody who identifies differently. Is it a spectrum now,
or is it a community?
Whatever the hell it is. I don't know. I have absolutely no issues with anybody unless they're an asshole. But I can understand why parents were a little put off. Like, I would have taken my kids to see the movies because they already understand this stuff and it wouldn't have been an issue in our family. But that doesn't mean that, but I understand that a lot of families, or more conservative, or a lot of families don't want to talk about it when their kids are younger, or there's other reasons.
And what's happening with the hard push into this, and they are pushing it really hard in kids entertainment. The unfortunate truth is I think it's actually making more problems for LGBTQ people. I think it's what's going on is there's more backlash now. Like, I don't remember people being as vocally against, gay folks or trans folks or whatever just a couple of years ago. But since the media has been pushing it so much, now everything has become a freaking pop culture war hockey puck.
Right.
Now
I think people just have
like,
their backs up immediately.
They have their backs up. They're like, oh, it's one of those movies.
Because they know they're going to be called names, so they don't agree with it. Because there's no middle ground anymore. It's either you go all in on it or you're the biggest bigot, whatever, ever.
And you're not allowed to.
It's ridiculous.
You're not allowed to sidestep it. You're not allowed to kind of wink and nod. I mean, look at what happened with Beauty and the Beast, where it's heavily implied LeFou was gay, but not explicitly shown.
So how dare they?
Officer, or whatever the Cyclops was, and Onward. They're like, we've got our first openly gay character that has no lines. Really, it's just kind of a background character. And so it's like, but the thing is that like at this point in time. As a company that produces content mostly for families, like that kind of content should be, YA teen content. Willow, like, look, people were mad about the chipping in Willow because it wasn't Willow, right? It's not because they had gay people in it. They're like, no, the show became about this couple, and it's like that's not Willow. But like, if you're gonna have those conversations, it's probably better to move it up to the 12,
older
13.
Age,
plus versus, hey, let's
a kids movie.
Teach 3-year-olds about drag shows. I mean, come on.
Elio, they were going to try to push in Elio, and that was definitely a younger kids movie. By the animation style and stuff. Buzz Lightyear. A lot of kids are like the Toy Story crowd are usually younger, and adults, and they tried to push it in that, and parents found out and they didn't show up. They were already mad about it wasn't Tim Allen. But then they throw that in there too, and people are like, hell no, we're not coming to this. And then Disney lost all kinds of money, and people got fired to Pixar.
Yeah, well, that's it. So at the end of the day, this is the thing. And this is where, like, it's just the kind of the perfect storm. We've got all these problems going on in the animation industry right now. A lot of people not able to find work, even though we're being told that, things are just absolutely ducky right now. It's fantastic. A lot of people not working. And AI is right around the corner, ready to pick up the slack. And what's going to happen is Disney is going to potentially use this as a reason to just be like, everybody was so damn difficult. We just, obviously they don't want to work here.
Trying to push things in, and then they get really offended if we'd say no. Like they were all out there screaming about Inside Out 2, and they're all out there screaming about Elio and everything else. They obviously protested and had a fit until they put the kiss into Lightyear. And all you're doing is, yes, you're getting your representation, but what cost? It's costing you your job and the company money because I'm sorry, whether you like it or not, the reality is most parents want to have a say in when their kids are exposed to that kind of stuff. And some parents are fine with it and some parents aren't. And that's fine. They're the parents. And majority of people in the country are not LGBTQ. That does not mean that people are bigots or against anybody. They just don't think that their 5-year-old needs to be, watching this stuff, mostly in fairness, because they don't want to explain it.
Yeah.
The like poor Snoop Dogg.
I would have been like the space stork. The space stork came and dropped the baby off. The end. But anyway, but yeah, I think he's just like, why is he's only paying attention now because he's got grandkids. It's like, this has been going on for like the last 8 years now. Like I said,
they've been trying very hard.
Anyway, this is what people are saying. So he's getting backlash. Of course he is. They're trying to get him canceled from, the Australian Football League's grand final. He was supposed to have a performance. They're trying to get him canceled.
It's Australia. They probably will get him canceled.
They probably will. But then that's a tough one, isn't it? It's like, you canceled the black dude. You racist?
Right. Yeah, you racist. Which check marks count more?
Yeah, well, that's, it said some criticize, and these are random people on the internet, but you can tell by the usernames. If the existence of gay people scares you, maybe you should stay inside. The GOP is bad, said bigotry is gross. The political
idiocy.
The political HQ wrote, he's upset gay people exist.
That's not what he said.
That's not what he said. He said it was awkward to have to explain that in a kid's movie to
in the middle of a movie.
In the middle of a movie. Apollo FNC said, I'm so tired, genuinely so tired of the rampant homophobia.
That's because you guys keep pushing it so far that everybody's turning against it because they're so tired of hearing about it.
So here are the people defending him. This guy said, it adds nothing and ruins movies is why I'm not homophobic, but I'm fed up with all the woke stuff forced into films as if it's good for us.
That sums it up right there, I think.
For a lot of people, they're like, why does this, this person says, I don't know why they include stuff like this in media consumed by kids.
Yeah, you do.
Acra Street says Snoop Dogg has the right to choose what content he feels is safe for his grandson. Taking a stand does not make you homophobic.
Nope.
And that is ultimately the issue. And is parents feel like their right to parent their kids and expose them to what they want to expose them to are being trampled by the state, is being trampled by media. Companies like Disney that used to be very bland and very middle of the road. You could park your kid in front of the Disney Channel back in the day.
You can't even let your kids watch Blue's Clues now. Like
no, you can't watch. Yeah, you
they
can't.
They had the parades episode.
Coco Melon.
Yeah, and basically they were like, there's a special cool parade for kids that have, two mommies or two daddies and stuff. And it was like,
don't you want two mommies?
Yes.
Yeah, it sucks to be you because you only got one.
Divorce your dad and go marry another woman. It's like, they didn't say that. I'm just saying. It's just you can't even trust it. You feel to turn on some shows and your kids were going to be, they're just going to be learning about colors and numbers and reading and words, and you wouldn't have to worry about what words they were learning, and you didn't have to worry about all that stuff because when they're little, they don't need that stuff. They can, by all means, when they're older, it definitely needs addressed. But when they're that young, why? Blue's Clues is too far. I'm sorry.
Kids are cute. I'm looking at these kids. I'm like, damn, they're cute.
And he looks so happy.
I'm happy he's happy. We got Snoop on the stoop. He hangs.
We do have Snoop on the stoop.
Martha Stewart.
We do.
They smoke
we have the Martha Stewart one too.
Yeah, so the YouTube comments are like, how they adopted. Why can't you just say that?
Well, he could have, but I think he was probably just caught in the middle and it's like,
like I just took my kid to a Disney movie, and now I did not think I'd have to have this conversation.
An in-depth conversation about sexuality and relationships.
Yeah, the Post has reached out to Snoop's rep for comment. You're
not going to get it.
I think here's the thing. Like you said at the beginning, he said the quiet part out loud. I can almost guarantee you probably 90% of the people working in Hollywood, working in music, working in the industry probably feels this way. They're just afraid to say it.
Wait, it gets better. Elsewhere in the interview, he explained that masculinity is being taken out of men nowadays. Hot damn, Snoop just gave it to him. Everybody needs to go support Snoop now, I guess.
Yeah, I always like Snoop.
I'm just saying, he's basically like, why are you putting this crap in kids' movies? And masculinity, you're not to be masculine anymore.
That actually is true. That for me is I mean, that's something we talk about a lot in this channel, that they are going out of their way to demasculization. I was gonna say demasculization. That's what you use array, and you're like yes, emasculate men. They're trying to emasculate men. They're trying to basically be
they're neutering men.
They're neutering men. I think it's all like, look, this shit is ending. Again, we had 8 or 10 years where, I'm gonna be honest, I think the inmates were running the asylum, right? The patients were running the asylum, where all this crazy stuff was getting greenlit, and it was very obvious it was out of touch or out of sync with middle America, the general audience, but they kept pushing it because they kept telling people this is the modern audience, this is what they want. And really it was representation for less than 5% of people.
And they're mad because they don't have control. So they're having a hissy fit. Yeah, they're mad and they're just fighting back, and because it's not working. Like it used to be, they called you a name, you step down, you step off, because I don't want people to think I'm a bad person. No, you know what? They're gonna say it, and it doesn't make it true. He's not homophobic just because he didn't want to deal with his kids having to see it. He's not out there actively, being against people. But he's not wrong that men can't be men anymore either. He's not wrong about that either.
Well, he's talking about, and this is something that comes up a lot with the conversation about like performative wokeness and media and stuff. Is it does seem like it hits black men harder in a lot of ways. He's not wrong about this. He said, I look at commercials, I look at everything that comes on TV, movies, TV shows, and it's always including some form of having a black man not be as strong as he could be. And you look at the media, and I know there's been a lot of complaints from the black folks about this, that the men are they're made effeminate. The black men are made effeminate. They're made the sidekicks. They're made well, look at Finn in Star Wars. Like, he's a joke.
Yeah, I would have totally watched him him in Jedi training. I would have watched the movie. He was the lead all day long. Like I that's what I thought we were going to get. I was so excited because it was such a really unique take. And then they just, did what they were going to, force.
And we're going, in that regard, we're going backwards because you look at even TV shows from decades ago. And we had, unfortunately, there's a whole issue with John Amos and from Good Times and his family. They're fighting over stuff, but like we had strong black father figures in TV decades ago, and now it's always like if you got the black character, it's like he's the butt of the jokes, he's the sidekick, he's gay, he's what I'm saying, he's not just gay, he's like super effeminate. And yeah, it is a weird thing to be like, hey, we're all progressive, but we're gonna make the black man as wimpy as possible. Like, what's up with that? And he's not wrong. He's not wrong about that.
It's true. And for years we kept seeing that everything had to be redone with a strong female lead, which meant they were all stronger than men, and men had to be somehow minimized for women to be, elevated. And I've said since Last Jedi that's bullshit, and we shouldn't be doing that. As a woman, I don't want to be minimized. I don't want like Kneon minimized so I could be elevated. I want to be like steel sharp and steel, bitch. Let's go.
There we
go. No
go.
comment. No.
People think I'm taking a back seat to you. I just
what?
like to think. No, some people think I take a back seat to you sometimes, but that's okay.
Really?
I just let her think she's in charge.
I'm on top,
I'm the man. I'm always No, sometimes I prefer it on top too. I'm man enough to admit it.
All right. Are we going to wrap this up before it gets any worse?
I don't even know where to go with this. Just like, look, if he's asking that question, how many normal everyday folks...
They're all afraid to say it, and he's not afraid to say it.
Well, he's Snoop Dogg. He's set for life, man. He's just
so whatever. I'm like, you know what? And now I'm going to be interested to see if people are going to be supporting him more. Like, they're like, we're going to cancel him. I bet you money he starts selling more. He starts getting invited more. He starts doing more because people are going to be like,
people are over it. Just say it. I mean, that's what's going on. Dave Chappelle did it first. He was basically like, I'm just going to come out and say it. Like,
just don't put it in kids shows. That's all and don't put any of that stuff in kids shows because it doesn't need to be in kids shows. Like when they're older, like you said, young adult, late or teens, fine. By all means, like, hard stopper and all that stuff. Yeah. Knock yourself out. Just make the older audience, and
you don't have to watch
fine.
it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't want to watch that stuff, you don't have to watch it. That's like even Netflix Shira. Like, just one more thing here again here before the end. But like, I hated the show because of what it did to She-Ra. And actually, I'll tell you the truth. I didn't hate the show as much as I hated the people associated with the show and the shit they were saying, the smack they were talking about, the people who did the original show. Like they were making
the fans.
And the fans. They were making fun of the fans. They're making fun of the voice actors. They're making fun of, like calling it cheesy. I'm like, bitch, you wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for that old ass cheesy show that you can't make fun of.
Right, because that's cheesy, but Best Friend Squad and Pillow Fight Nighttime Sleepover and Princess Prom isn't cheesy.
The show's look, if you called it anything but She-Ra, like I said, Super Sword Sisters, whatever, I don't give a shit. You do you, boo. It's your show. It's not for me.
I'm surprised
obviously.
They were allowed to say She-Ra.
Yeah. But that being said, like that show was made for a slightly older audience than like a Pixar movie. So, what I'm saying? A lot of stuff on Netflix is made for a slightly older audience. I don't think there's going to be as much, and let's be honest, kids aren't watching these shows, these Tumblr cartoons anyways, like 25-year-olds are watching them. So, it is what it is. So I don't have as much of a problem. I just have more of a problem with She-Ra because they shit on the original creators.
But like I said, it depends. If your target audience is definitely older, you're fine. It's just when you're doing a Lightyear, which is supposed to be like for like families and younger kids, or Elio especially, you can't don't do that. Anyway, we're gonna wrap this up, and definitely don't do Blue's Clues.
Don't do Blue's Clues. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Yeah, I think
finally. I've been trying, guys.
All right.
Anyway,
well, you're the boss. You gotta tell me to just shut up.
Shut up. Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.